Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. There's no such thing as overanalyzing or reading too much into your favorite Bravo shows and Bravo-lebrities here. So join me, Bravo and Botox, as I find the depth amongst the shallow. Hello, everyone. This week, for the Bravo Papers Weekly News, I have a very special guest. She speaks Bravo. Before we get into the episode, I just want to give a heads up that she thought her mic was picking up the sound and it wasn't, so she wants to apologize and let the listeners know that her sound is usually much better, which I totally get because, you know, once you get into this thing, you become a stickler for sound. You want your sound to be good. So her sound would have been better. But it was just like the computer audio sound. So hopefully the two of us together sound okay. We had such a great time. I've been wanting to have Emily Hanks on the podcast for a while. But, you know, she does so much recording and recaps and stuff. And I think I always was a little like, oh man, is she going to want to come on? And hopefully it won't be an inconvenience. I always feel that way with guests. Like, I feel bad for asking almost, which I shouldn't. I need to ask people because I get excited when people ask me. So I got to get over that. Anyways, we had a great time. We discussed some of the major Bravo news stories going on, and I hope you all enjoy it. Here's the episode. You know, every time the recording in progress lady says that, I act shocked every time. I think because I've only done the Zoom type thing, maybe like this is like my fourth one as like really, so I'm not used to it. You're probably used to it. I'm like, oh, she just said something to me. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bravo Papers, Bravo Weekly News. And today's very special. Very, very special because we have the talented, beautiful, fabulous, you know, intelligent, funny, most important, funny, to me, funny is most important. Emily Hanks from She Speaks Bravo. Welcome.
Well, that was quite a lot of good adjectives you used there.
All true.
I'll take them all.
Take them all. You know, we women, we have to take them whenever we get them, we have to take them.
We do.
And I know that, you know, I know some of my listeners definitely listen to you because they'll, you know, I'll get those DMs of like, oh yeah, you know, She Speaks Bravo was saying da-da-da to like confirm, you know, if I'm like talking about a rumor or whatever.
Really?
Or just like, you know, just like general, whatever, Bravo gossip. But maybe not everyone does. So can you maybe just tell the wonderful listeners what you do, what your thing is, and how you got into this whole like Bravo world?
Oh, how I got into it. Okay.
Well, maybe like how you got into like the content creating aspect.
Yeah, totally. Well, I don't know about you, but I truly had no idea that there was a whole content creating aspect of Bravo watching. I just thought this was like useless information that I had because like I truly was like, this is what I watch when I'm like coming down off a bender. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I watch when I'm like anxious and depressed. It wasn't, so that's the only reason I had the knowledge in my head was it was like my comfort shows. So when I discovered that there was a whole universe of podcasts, and then I didn't even realize Instagram was as big as it was until the pandemic. Like right before the pandemic is when I discovered like Watch What Crappens and was like, oh, cool, people do this. And then I discovered Sexy Unique Podcast. And so for a long time I talked about doing a podcast, but I say hi to Tiger.
Hi. Oh my God. I just got so excited. I love cats.
I know. That's right. I know you love cats.
I'm a big cat person.
You are a cat person. So I talked about it for a long time because as you know, it takes a lot to get you to finally start. There's a lot of talking about doing it for a while because it's scary. It's scary to actually do it. Yeah. So when I discovered the world of the Bravo content Instagram community. I dipped my toe in it, and I was originally going to do this podcast with a friend of mine, one of my
Right. I think I
gays.
remember you saying that you had a like We Speaks Bravo or
We
something.
speak
See, I
housewives
remember.
was what you're
Okay.
good. But he didn't have as much knowledge of Bravo as I originally thought.
Yeah, you need to be like the obsessed.
Yeah, like he had stopped watching Jersey at like season
Oh, no.
3. And
Okay.
I'm like, well, no.
Mm,
And so we did a couple trial runs that didn't work out, but I just kept the Instagram and would
right.
post for fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best advice if anyone ever asks, like, how did you get into it? I'm like, just do it for fun
Right.
because it's so saturated, like everybody's doing it. And if you're not doing it because you just like posting, then it's not going to be worth it. Because I literally had no idea anyone was even paying attention to my page. I think I had 700 followers, and Bravo While Black, that
Mm-hmm.
amazing podcast, they kept tagging me in posts. And I thought they would tag me and then like Bravo TV and other big accounts.
Right.
So I eventually messaged Bravo While Black before I like knew that, like, now we're tight. But then I just was like, hey, I feel kind of weird, but I feel like you're accidentally tagging me. And I just want to make sure that
Oh
like
my God.
you tag the right account. Like, I don't want you to be tagging the wrong person. And
You are
Kaya was
so
like,
funny.
no, I'm mean to tag you. Like, that's intentional. I was like, really? I didn't know anyone even cared. Bravo, ducking Bravo. She started sharing my stuff really quick. Like, she's very generous. I really love her so much.
She is one of my favorites.
Absolutely. A human being, like one of the best humans
Yeah,
too.
just
Like
like a nice
a
person.
great human being. So, um, little by little, I got like a following, if you will.
Of course.
I think I got to maybe 5,000 followers. And that any accomplishment is an accomplishment when you're trying to grow. It's really hard to
Right.
grow. And then I eventually was like, you know what? Everyone's going to want to listen to my podcast, I bet. And so I made this like promo. It took me so long because I wasn't used to video editing or anything. I
Right.
think I even paid like money for a subscription. It was so stupid. And like 10 people liked it. No one really cared. So I was like, great. So then I did one episode of my podcast and I was like, I'm just talking to myself.
Like
Like,
no
this
one's
is
listening.
literally and like
Like
literally though,
you thought.
yeah. And like, then I got kind of happy that no one was going to listen to it. Cause originally it started out as like my therapist at the time was like, can you just start the podcast before I kill you? Because
Stop talking about it.
yeah. And so I did it once and then I was like, this is weird. And then I did it again. And then maybe one more time, maybe 3 episodes. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't need to do this anymore. This seems so stupid. This is dumb. Like I give up. And then I had people reach out and tell me like, where did your podcast go? I think it'd be really fun if you picked it back up. And
Mm-hmm.
so I decided, fine, I will lean into it more. And that was around like beginning of 2021. And then I just put a lot of effort into like, then I was like, fine, I will actually kill myself over this thing. And I guess like the rest is history. I got about like
I think so.
I think like a year and a half ago, I got picked up by Cloud 10. Cloud 10 is a podcast network, and they've just discovered the show, picked me up, and then I was like,
I
oh, I can
love
really
that.
make this a business. And so then I
Yeah.
really fucking hustled.
Yeah. You've
Um,
fully
and never
gone for it. Committed.
committed, yeah. And I
Love
think
it.
that's also very hard to do. Committing and like
Yes.
and owning it, it's really hard. Like I definitely struggle with imposter syndrome. Like I had a photo shoot on Friday and I felt like I left there and I almost had and I felt like I was about to get a panic attack, which was so stupid. I'm like, I should be so happy.
Of
But I think I
course.
was like overwhelmed because I was like,
Yep.
that was so out of my comfort zone. The only way to do a photo shoot is to own it. And I
Oh, of
felt a
course.
little weird owning it. Like afterwards, I was like, is that
Yeah.
so stupid? Like, what did I just do? So
No,
it's
it's not.
definitely still a thing like that I have to work through because it's like
Yeah.
all we're doing is talking about Bravo TV. I mean, I
Yeah,
talk
but
about other shows and I talk about reality TV, but I just never thought I
yeah.
never thought this would be what I would do.
Well, I think the good thing is the Bravo audience is like the most hungry, thirsty for content audience. Like they just cannot get enough. Like they just want more episodes, more Instagram posts. So it's like, I totally get it. Like a part of you is like, why am like, who cares about my opinion? But they
Yes,
do.
I know.
And it's an
I
amazing
know.
thing. It's
I
really an
know.
amazing thing.
I know it's
I
fun
mean,
hearing
you
you
were
say
you
that
were one of my
actually.
first recap podcasts that I started listening to.
Really?
Yes, I can't remember. It was in like 2022 because I just didn't really listen to Bravo podcasts
Yeah.
before then. I listened to podcasts, but not Bravo
Yeah.
related ones because I didn't
Yeah.
know that there were any that I would like enough. And then I think it was during Summer House. It was like the first
Ooh.
Lindsay gang up season. And I think
Ooh.
it
Me
was
and Pia.
I think so, yes. And I remember I listened to it in the car. I was like going running errands and I was like, oh, this is really funny. And I really like, I was like, the voices are not annoying. Like I'm very picky about voices. I was like, I
Me
like her
too.
voice, and like the takes and everything. So I was like, and then I just, I became a
Oh,
listener.
that's
And then as
awesome.
Emily said, I had been on Emily's podcast and this is
Was
her
I
first.
your first? Was I your first
You were,
guest podcast?
you
Okay.
were. And I haven't had Emily on yet till today. Not on purpose. I just have not gotten my shit together since the summer. In the summer, I had a little break. So, I did a couple little things. But since then I've been kind of scrambling a little bit. But like Emily said, like it's so hard. It's, you just don't know. Like there's like kind of like the line between the people who decide to put themselves out there and the
Yeah.
people who are on the audience end. And once you go to the other side, it's
Yes.
just like,
And we're kind of a very odd, like who like content creators are such a like we are still the audience, but
mm-hmm.
we are kind of like because literally all my Instagram and probably all yours was just here are my opinions and
Right.
I'm going to show them. I just happen to post. That's it. That's the
Right.
only difference between the people who comment on our stuff and us
Yep.
is that we just take the time to actually create the content.
Right.
But
Totally.
then we kind of become like not celebrities in the world, but like I can't put any other word to it. Like it was crazy walking around BravoCon and having people be like, "Oh my God, she
Oh
speaks
my God.
Bravo."
I bet. Right.
I was
You
like,
must have been so
"What?"
excited. Well, even like,
I'm nervous. The nervous is the but I'm like, please, like, I don't know. I don't want anyone to ever
oh
like
my
think
God, it would
I'm in
make me
any
so
way like,
nervous.
yeah, okay,
No, no, no.
exactly. Like, I
We're
don't want anyone
real.
to, yeah, like, I don't want
We're
anyone to ever think
realistic. We don't think anything. Trust me.
that like I'm like I'm like I'm a loser, I'm a mess, I'm a joke, you know what I mean? Like I just want to always like downplay that. I don't ever want anyone to
Yeah.
think I'm like an influencer because it's like
No,
I
no.
think
But
it
you
like
are.
feeds into toxic culture, you know what I mean? Because like I've admired influencers. I'm like I just was crazy. It was wild that people
Yeah.
actually
I
like
think
look
it's
up to
different
content
though.
creators.
I think it's different because you're not a lifestyle influencer.
Yeah, I
So
try not to be.
you're not selling like being like I look at like some of these like mom influencers or whatever, like who are selling a certain like aesthetic and lifestyle or whatever.
Yes.
You're not doing that. Like we're doing like, let's talk about these fucking shows and we
Yeah.
love them. And, everyone just has opinions and we all just want to get them out, especially when you're watching the shows and you're getting so frustrated about things. Like you want someone to talk to and you just want to
Yes.
see that other people are commiserating and it's just
Yes.
fun. It's just I have this theory that all us Bravo fans are like kind of anxious too, and that we're all just like trying to
Somebody
like
froze.
silent our thoughts with all the drama. Okay, so as I was saying, I feel like Bravo fans, a lot of them are just like me, chasing drama for like, it gives your mind a distraction. It just lets you like put your life and your problems aside and have
Mm-hmm.
like a fun, entertaining, break from it all in a way with other people's drama that really doesn't have an impact on your personal life. I think we're all sort of looking for that. Like we can all kind of relate to that.
Yeah. And I noticed too that the more complicated the show, like for example, Beverly Hills
Oh,
last
so
season was
complicated.
so complicated and like so those episodes got a ton of listens, a ton of views because people
Mm-hmm.
like hold on, it's like they need to watch the show and then they need to go dissect it more.
Yes, exactly. And
You know, so
that's
like the more
why,
complicated and the harder it is to cover, like the more exhausting it is to cover that stuff, but I
oh, I
also
bet.
understand why people want to consume more of the content.
Well, I have to say that I only listened to two recap podcasts for Bravo in terms of like recapping episodes. One is She Speaks Bravo, and the other is Watch What Crappens. Those are the two, and I
Oh my God, what
recommend.
an honor.
Well, I mean, there's only so many I can listen to in a week, but
Agreed. Agreed. Agreed.
but I also no, those are really my two favorites. I do listen to other Bravo related podcasts where they just talk about like, the gossip and the news and that kind of stuff. I do listen to like Kendrick's podcasts and stuff like that. But in terms of like, recaps are hard to do. Like I'm like the fact that you guys do them and it's so much hours of your week. Like I just can't with the notes that you must
With
have
the
to
notes.
take, the notes, the rewatches, and then just the hours. Like I do this news episode every week, which takes a little bit of time. But
you're completely right, because it's like when you're recapping an episode,
recapping is a different beast.
You have to watch it, you have to take the notes on it, but you have to watch it at least one more time because it's so I didn't until very recently realize that when I was at the photo shoot, the makeup artist was like, well, then you also have to watch the shows.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, that's time consuming. It takes time.
It is. Especially right now.
I'm still growing, so I do want to keep trying to post on social media. Like most podcasters that are big podcasters, they don't really bother posting that much because their podcast is what they need. But I need to grow. So then I'm also making content.
That's true. It's a lot. It's a lot. So everybody come and support us because
rate this podcast 5 stars if you haven't already. Everyone rate.
And join my Patreon, just a reminder.
And join the Patreon.
Join the Patreon. I started a Patreon in October. And it is really fun to engage more personally and to be able to respond. Because, I have a lot of followers on Instagram and I get a lot of DMs about the show and people sharing their opinions. But, I can't discuss and respond to every single thing because you just can't. It's just not always human. I really do try. But it's nice, like, the people on Patreon for them to be able to give their thoughts about the Bravo news and for me to always respond. So how's that for a segue? Because let's talk about the news.
That was a great segue.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was kind of crappy, but that's okay.
I loved it.
So today is Monday, December 11th. Not really, but for the listeners, it is.
Okay.
And I'm here to bring you your news for the week, everyone. So this is going to be even more fun because we're going to get Emily's opinions. Unfortunately, I have to start with this. With Tom and Tom on 2 T's in a pod. Okay, so I understand. I just want to give a preamble because I know that Emily on her Patreon did a full breakdown of it, which if you'd like to listen to, you can go to her Patreon and find it. We're just going to do a very short, like 3 key points. Okay, I didn't listen to it.
You didn't?
I didn't. So I refused to listen. I did look up recaps of it so I could see, and then I just pulled out like what I think would be the things that people would mostly care about. So I'm just going to go, I think I have 4 bullet points and then we can just talk about it. So let's start with him blaming Rachel.
Yeah.
She came on to a guy in a relationship who was severely depressed and who had no confidence and low self-value, which I find extremely hard to believe from Tom Sandoval. And he thinks that it's a really bad look on her part to keep pushing the blame on everyone else, which the irony is just unbelievable because that's exactly what he's doing, obviously. Now, okay, before you comment, I just want to say one thing. He's not wrong about one thing here. She has been pushing the blame. And people have been treating her like a 12-year-old girl or something. There is that happening, but that doesn't negate him, which is why I still want to punch him. What do you think? What was your reaction when you first heard that?
It was exactly what you just said. Yeah. I'm like, that's literally what you're doing. Prior to getting to the Rachel topic, they had talked about how he's resentful of Ariana because she created this climate that would push people to suicide. I'm like, no, dude, your actions did that. Like, you did something, we reacted, unfortunately, because you're on a public platform, that's what's going to happen. And you're still trying to downplay it. Like, I mean, it's a reality TV star scandal and it's on CNN. Like, he keeps trying to downplay it like that. And Tom Schwartz even he steps in and he's like, well, it's more like not what you did, but how you did it, Tom. Like, even he's like, I get it. You haven't learned anything clearly. So the fact that he pushes all the blame on Ariana, he does at one point say, I'm partly at fault for, and he doesn't really say what it is, and then he says we grew apart and we both handled it wrong or something like that. I'm like, so you're not,
No,
you
no,
didn't, you
no,
didn't
no.
take any
Yeah.
credit, like you didn't.
Yeah.
And
You're
also,
still doing it.
how do you say that you were living separate lives, yet you were so intertwined you couldn't break up?
Exactly.
Like
If
you
it
can't,
was,
it can't be
yeah,
both of those things.
you can't be so close that the breakup, could drive her to do something drastic that you're worried about. But we're practically broken up anyways.
Yeah, we were
Like
living completely
it makes
separate
no
lives.
sense. And then
Those are
he
two
also,
different realities.
the other thing that I really did not appreciate his wording here is he said about Rachel, she made the first move and she went too far and got herself into a position. What the fuck is that? She
Yeah.
got herself into a position. You mean like naked in your bed? I don't like, it's just though he purposely is phrasing everything. And I'm just, what do you think about them even having him? Because it kind of, all the
Oh,
stuff that he says, like we expected of him. Like he's a narcissist.
exactly.
So I'm not even that. I'm like, yeah, this is like, standard practice for Tom Sandoval.
Exactly.
But what do you think about, the two T's having him on, Tamra and Teddi, Teddi, I have more things to say about later, but go on.
Right. This is why I didn't even want to listen to it or
Right.
recap it.
I know.
And that is why I put it on my Patreon, because I'm like, I don't want to give it as
Yeah.
much attention as they want. They only did it for attention because they both are just all they get is bad attention, the two of them at this point.
That's
Like
true.
Tamra has come back and now I guess she's embracing that she's completely the villain and like doesn't really have any redeeming qualities. And
Mm-hmm.
Teddy's Teddy. Everyone hates Teddy.
Right.
So they felt very boomer to me because this had already been done. This like counter argument to
Right.
the whole movement, like, really, are they that bad? Everybody cheats in this group, kind of thing. Like, I'm like, are we still doing this? We already did this at like the height of Scandival. The
Right.
Howie interview was this. We already covered these very generic, ignorant
Mm-hmm.
questions. So why are you guys doing this? Is it just to look cool? Like, we don't care. We don't care if you don't like them. We like them type of bullshit because
Yeah,
that's all it
I don't
feels
get
like.
it.
And they were so out of touch the whole time. And Tamara doesn't even watch the show. So she didn't even
We
know
have
very
Bethany
important.
part two.
Yes, she didn't even
Yeah.
know basic, obvious facts. Like Tom Schwartz has a tattoo on his butt of Bubba. You don't know that. You don't have a right to call them like misunderstood and have them on your
Exactly.
podcast. You have to understand the show first and the
Yep.
history that we're going off of in order to like have them on to mock us with it.
Well, that's one thing I hate about Scandival overall is that so many people jumped into it who were not Vanderpump Rules. And I'm not trying to be like a gatekeeper about Vanderpump Rules, but I kind of am.
I
But
am.
yeah, I totally am too. I
We
just said
are,
that.
okay?
But I
Like, yeah.
totally hated this part of it. The like the
Yeah.
Bethany's and the even like I was like proud when it was in like CNN and New York Times because I was like, oh guys, bravo, we made it. But on the other hand, it's like all these people are just trying to latch on for the listens and the views and put your time in. Do some research. Like when you're gone, we're all still going to be here, talking about you were here in, season 8 where the storyline was like nothing, where
Yeah.
nothing was going on and it was a shit season or season 9 or whatever. And they're just here for like the peak. That's why I was also so confused about this. The timing, I mean, I get that there's a new season coming in January. I understand that. But on the other side,
But
it
even
just seemed,
still, yeah,
yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
if
Even
anything, do it
still,
right before it comes out. Like this felt
right.
like the weird, like in December. Why?
It's like there was no thought put behind this. And it was just like, oh, we never did anything Scandival-y, so let's do it now. Like it's like Raquel releasing her own podcast now. It's just weird.
It doesn't matter anymore. Like
No, exactly.
we already know they're gonna Tom's gonna say this. We know Tom Sandoval is gonna have this awful take. And you guys, the two of them encouraging Teddi tried to sound like she was going to be hip and hold their feet to the fire because, like, at the beginning, she was like, "I'm a little mad at you, Tom Sandoval, for having your friend Jason be the first one to interview on your podcast.
Oh, she's
You're like
so lame.
softballing, like, and I'm going to hold you accountable." Ugh. Like that's how Teddi wanted to appear. Yet they were like filling in Tom wasn't making points. Like he kept starting sentences, not finishing them.
Yep.
And just, people who like sound like they're talking, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not saying a damn thing. That was Tom. And a couple times he would get really like caught up and be like, it was like uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would help him out and like finish a
Right.
sentence for him. And a couple times, I swear, Teddi filled in a
That's
sentence that like
infuriating.
wasn't going to be what Tom said. Like, for example, Tom's excuse for not breaking up with Ariana was, of course, like, when you've been together this long and and I think he was going to say, and you have so many like work things together, but
Mm-hmm.
Teddi goes, and you're best friends. Tom goes, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like you could tell he was like, that's not what I was
Oh
going to
my
say, but
God.
sure. So they were like helping them or helping Tom. Tom Schwartz like was kind of useless being there,
As usual.
honestly.
Yeah. He's
And
just
I can't tell. Is he now a host of the other of Tom's podcast too? Because suddenly they're like, come over to our podcast. I'm like, I
so
thought it
it
was.
is Tom Schwartz is going on Sandoval's podcast?
Yeah, but
Oh.
they were making it seem like Tom and Tom were both the hosts and we're gonna have so I wouldn't it wouldn't shock
Maybe they
me. It
will.
wouldn't shock yeah, it
No, it
wouldn't
wouldn't
shock
shock me
me.
either because I think Schwartz separated himself from
Yeah.
Sandoval for a while, till the heat kind of. I almost feel like in a way that the two of them sort of think like with the new season coming, it's like we've washed our hands of
Hmm.
Scandoval, and we're going to be able to actually rebuild our reputation and kind of rewrite history almost. I actually think that they believe that because they were such a beloved little twosome for the longest time, and they, I have to give them some credit, like they know how to play it. And I do think that Tom is ready and he sees maybe how the climate is shifting a little bit, which it is. People are getting annoyed with Ariana's success. The misogyny is coming, which is another thing I even had on my news list here, the backlash about her being Roxy Hart in Chicago.
Hmm.
So, I think it's sad and I don't agree with it, but I do think that he might be able to worm his way back into some people's favor. I think
Agreed.
some people are going to be like, okay, he cheated. It's been
Yep.
long enough. Like Lala already said that at BravoCon. So the tide is already turning. And it
Hmm.
really makes me angry that the tide is turning.
It makes me so angry that people are forgetting that before he cheated, he was also a piece of
Oh,
shit.
I know. I was never a fan. As
Like,
I said, I think when I was on your podcast, I was so proud. I was like, I've always hated that guy. He's he's
yeah.
he's he's just he's gives me secondhand embarrassment. That's first of all. And the band is stupid.
The band.
Oh, the
And
band is terrible.
I will tell this story till the day I die. I actually did see the band in person.
I remember.
We got tickets and it was tone deaf.
Oh God, I bet.
Tone deaf and like the weirdest set list. It's just like songs he feels like singing. There's no like rhyme or reason. 2 hours, a 2 hour
Oh,
set of off key holding of notes. Oh my
oh
gosh.
my God. So, okay, one other thing that he talked about that I wanted to get your thoughts on. He goes on this whole thing about he really loved Rachel.
Yeah, dude.
What was up with that? He says that he quit, I quit drinking and smoking for her, and that, she went into the facility, so he got sober, and she wasn't just another hot girl, and he hopes, that she did really love him and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, what do we think about that?
It just shows that he's incapable of like real authentic human emotions that are grounded in reality, because if you don't look back on that experience and think that was not being in genuine love, that was something totally different that I'm learning a lesson from. If you're still trying to justify it and say I was in love and I threw logic out the window for love, then
Mm-hmm.
I think you're kind of hopeless, bro.
Yeah,
Because how do you really look back on the way that thing played out? The girl ended up in a mental health facility.
right. Like that was not about love.
So it just he's never going to learn.
No,
He will never
he's not.
he's never ever going to learn, because that's not love. And the fact that you think, because I think if they had stayed together, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. We'd all have to slowly sink into the reality that they have a twisted love that we don't get, and whatever, it happens. But you're not together anymore. She doesn't even talk to you. And you're not going,
Well, I think he's kind of mad about that.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of pissed because that would have helped his case a little bit.
Totally.
Right? Yeah. Like he could have been like, well, we're like Romeo and Juliet. Like we just, no one wanted us together, but we're doing it because we're just meant to be and blah, blah. But she really did draw a line in this, which I'm still shocked about to this day.
Agreed.
I'm still shocked that she was strong enough for that.
Remember, did you also hear the part where he was like, the people she's surrounding herself with now weren't around for her like big growth experience or whatever. And I'm like, that is so like, it's like you were a part of a very toxic experience in her life, yet you still look at you guys are like the real ones. Like she was her real authentic self with us. It's like she ended up in a mental health facility.
Right. Exactly.
She was not thriving.
Oh,
sir.
God.
Yeah, well, no, he's dangerous, man.
He's very dangerous. Like Lala was right about that. He actually is dangerous. And I mean, I'm just with the new season coming, I'm kind of like, I'm excited for it, but I'm also like, ugh. Oh, it's going to be so much of him.
Yes.
There's going to be so much listening to him and him whining and crying and trying to win people over.
And doing like spiritual journey shit.
God. Sheena, I already hate Sheena ahead of time. I liked her last season. She had like my favorite moments. Like,
yes.
I was reflecting. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like a thing for New Year's, like my favorite like Sandoval moments. And I would say maybe number one was her walk out of that courthouse. That was one of my favorite. Yes, exactly. That was Emily snapping everyone. That was one of my favorite. It was such a good moment, and she's already destroyed it. But I mean, that's so Sheena, though, isn't it?
It's so Sheena.
Sheena just can't help but
she can't help
Sheena.
herself.
She cannot help herself.
Always got a Sheena.
Okay, so let's talk about Ariana on a more positive note. She did so well on Dancing with the Stars.
Her growth was unbelievable.
Oh my God. I watched that Britney one like 1,000 times.
Too.
I'm just like biggest Britney Spears fan, so I was obsessed with that. But she's going to be Roxy Hart in Chicago. And she's getting backlash though. There's all these like, so someone posted about it on Twitter and they were like, whatever, they just shared the news. So as I do, I went through the comments and like, I would say the majority were like, oh, she got cheated on, so she gets to be Roxy. Like, God, it's enough already. Like that kind of stuff. And I just like, that just made me really sad because I don't think it is. I think if she had gone on and danced like Maurizio, I don't think she would be Roxy right now. Like, yes, I get it. Ultimately, the scandal led her to Dancing with the Stars, which led her to this. But she also proved that she can perform.
Yes. I think that, like, I'm a bitch about it because we've been putting celebrities in Chicago for like 20 years at this point, and the role itself has become not an honor. Like, I hate to be that person, but no, it's like,
that is true
in reality. But because it's basically a PR move. But you're exactly right. When you go on Dancing with the Stars, it's not like they pick Mauricio to go on Broadway.
He was so bad.
I don't know how anybody can find him attractive after that. Like that would like
never.
I've never been less attracted to a human being just watching him move around. Oh, it was bad. With his teeth. Oh my God. But so for people to be mad at Ariana for like getting another opportunity, that to be honest is sort of like the natural stepping stone. If you get Dancing with the Stars and you've got a buzz around you, you'll probably get Roxy. It's almost a guarantee. And so to be mad at her for her success sucks, because if someone offered you something that you've always wanted to do your entire life, like dance and sing on Broadway, you're not going to turn it down.
Right. And I think people forget that this Vanderpump Rules cast, like they were all aspiring actors.
Yeah.
Like they were all trying to do music and acting. Like it's not like they're not interested in this or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like when Erica Jane got it.
Yeah.
Like she was aspiring to be a pop star. And like, in my opinion, Ariana, if we're going to go by who quote unquote deserves it, Ariana deserves it more because her career, she happened to end up on Vanderpump Rules. I mean, Erica's whole pop career was funded by orphans and widows and she got on it. So, I know people didn't know that at the time, of course. But I But still, like the whole discussion of who deserves it, quote unquote, is just, to me, it's kind of irrelevant. The fact is that she got it. And what do you want her to do? Not take it? Like,
Yeah,
not you.
that's what's hard. That's what's really hard.
Like, of course she's going to take it.
She can't help that all of these brands and all of these sponsors want to use her because they see her marketing value. And so it's got to be hard for her to be like, I don't want to be oversaturated and have everyone resent me, but I want this money.
Right. And you have to strike while the iron is hot, because this is not going to last forever.
She's not dumb. She knows.
Yep, of course. And
it's like you take it. You take, especially when you're a reality TV star, you take the buzz when you can.
So Sheena and Lala released a Christmas song. Speaking of aspiring musicians.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
I have. And
Christmas Sleigh. And
okay. I'm sorry, but like I rarely notice things like this. I thought it was horribly produced.
Oh, it was. Yeah. Okay. Now that you said that, and I only listened to a little bit of it just for the sake of like this, but I would agree with you.
Yeah. Like I don't notice stuff like that because like you just.
I don't usually either.
But like, I thought DJ James Kennedy certainly didn't produce this one because
he should have.
It didn't sound right. Like their voices are too low, and then they have this same like weird instrument that's playing that doesn't sound quite right. And I was like, this just sounds like someone did it in their like garage.
And what do you think about the shade at Rachel?
So they say it's taken that shit out. They are opening themselves up.
Time, and I'm trying to push off the naughty list. You catch my drift? I want to be an angel, not a Rachel, bitch. So that's the line, everyone, in case you didn't know. I think it's not a good look.
Take it out, guys. Like it's too late. We can't keep unless you're gonna insult Tom in there as well. You cannot just go for Rachel.
Well, that's my problem with it. Is that Lala was defending him at BravoCon, and Sheena's going to his after party, and then they put out a Christmas song and go after. And listen, I'm the most anti-Rachel person that there is. I give her zero grace, and I'm fine. Like, I don't think she's grown at all. I don't believe anything she says, all that kind of stuff. However, you can't, if you're doing this and then you're kind of asking people to go easier on Sandoval, that's a really bad look.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I thought I'm like, if you don't have a Tom one in there,
exactly,
you got to take out the Rachel one.
Totally.
That's the rule.
All right, let's talk about Beverly Hills.
Okay.
A little bit. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep you for too long.
I got time.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. I don't want to keep you like all day, but I also do want to keep you.
Thank you for being cognizant of that. I've been on podcasts where like I'm going on 2 hours and I'm like, okay.
Well, do you know what is our time? How long have we been on? I mean, we had some technical difficulties. I think it's been like 40 minutes.
Maybe. Yeah. So maybe.
It's hard when you have 2 like Bravo fans. It's hard. I know, because we like watch everything, know everything. We just get sidetracked. Okay, totally. So let's talk about, I do want to talk about Beverly Hills because Teddi, your favorite subject and mine, I'm joking, obviously. But Teddi backs up Kyle Richards, which of course on her podcast, and says the majority. Okay, I'm going to read what Teddi said about Sutton.
Because I missed this. Okay.
Did you? Okay. It's bad. It's really bad.
Oh, I can't wait.
They are talking about the whole accusations of Sutton having an eating disorder. Okay. And Teddi says, well, the majority of your calories, so she's talking about Sutton, come from vodka and ocean spray. And then she says when they were in Rome, their only option for lunch was a sandwich in the Sprinter van one day. And Sutton had rage over this and was upset because she couldn't eat the sandwich. And Teddi said they were all trying to calm her down and saying you can just eat the cheese or pick parts out of it. And then Teddi says, you know what, though? The truth of the matter is she doesn't eat. And then, so this was like went on for a few minutes. And then she says, well, you know, I feel like Crystal has been open about her eating situation, which I thought was interesting that she didn't call it a disorder.
Because it's what it is.
It's not a situation. It's a disorder. And then she says that she's been pretty open about her situation and the highs and lows of it, which I would disagree with.
I would totally disagree with.
Yeah, she paints it as her situation is that she used to be overweight and she struggled with body image. I think she has an eating disorder. That's just my opinion. I know I shouldn't be diagnosing, but that's my opinion. But what do you think about that?
Teddi?
Like, I can't even finish the sentence.
Teddi says, okay, this is what I noticed when I was recapping because I rarely listen to their podcast unless it's like something I have to do
Oh,
for
I never listen
research.
to it. I
It's
can't
just like
stand them.
her voice is just
Oh, it's
grating for
terrible.
me. It's terrible. When I was listening to the Tom podcast, I noticed almost everything Teddi contributes could be edited out. Because like I know that I know that I edit my own stuff, and like I admit this. Like there are times when you're working with off a new guest, maybe that you get a little nervous and just kind of start a sentence before you're sure exactly what you're going to say, and like you kind
Right.
of you note it. I'll even take the note. I'll edit these things out, and
Right.
I've noticed that a lot of what Teddi says, it's like you just shouldn't start talking.
Yep.
Because what was the point of your story here with Sutton and the sandwich? That her esophagus issue is real? Because
Exactly.
she couldn't eat the sandwich. But now, so what you just read was there was no like tie up there. I don't know what point she was trying to prove by saying that Sutton was freaking out about only having a sandwich and not being able to eat the sandwich. It sounds like she was complaining because she has a hard time eating.
Right.
So I don't understand what point that was. But then bottom line, she doesn't eat.
Exactly. So,
Thank you for that non-fucking point.
her point is that I'm only inferring, but her point, I think, is to say it's not an esophageal issue. It's an eating disorder, and she has an alcohol issue, or she'd rather spend her daily calories on alcohol and eat less.
That's just so
which is not true.
problematic.
Not true. So problem. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I think that's
Yes,
what Teddi was saying.
You're exactly right. That's
Yep.
exactly what Teddi was trying to say.
And
That's so fucked up.
Do you think that do you think that this is just fully voluntarily coming from Teddi, or do you think that some of this is like Kyle in a text being like, bring this up?
Well, I don't even know if it's bring this up, but I feel like Teddi, when she is texting with Kyle, is like, okay, I'll bring that up. Like,
yeah.
I don't even think Kyle has to tell her anymore. I think Kyle knows that Teddi's going to take it and run with it.
Yep. It's like it's such an unfair advantage almost.
Yes. And I mean, it's weirding me out that people still listen, like their podcast charts and is always
I know
so well. And I'm like, are these all hate listens? Or do that many people really want their opinions? Because Teddi just keeps giving these bullshit opinions like that, where it's like, what is your point that she is starving herself because she just wants to drink? So you're calling her an anorexic alcoholic?
And if she is an anorexic alcoholic, that should be something we should be approaching with, grace and with care and with sympathy, not with like, oh, you're a pathetic loser because you have an addiction. Like, it's just, that's the tone that I feel like her and Kyle are coming at it with. Which
I was surprised when Kyle was like, you don't eat. I see you push around your food. And
I was very surprised.
And you say something like your esophagus or you can't eat for whatever disorder. I'm like, oh, so she has told you about it.
Exactly. She knew.
So you knew and you still threw that out there. Like, you heard her tell you about her issue and then you were like, whatever, it's just an eating disorder. Like, that's what you did in your head. Like, that's fucked up, Kyle.
That is very fucked up. And Anne-Marie was like, that new girl was it was saying so she was saying she hadn't heard of this disorder, all this stuff. Okay, well, I don't want to be have you as my healthcare worker, because this is a thing. A quick Google will give you a lot of information. There's a whole thread now on the Bravo Housewives Reddit of people who have this disorder, how difficult it's made their life, how sometimes when something gets lodged in there, they are not able to swallow their spit, all this other stuff. Like, these women are just out of control, honestly. Like, it's let me just throw whatever I can at the wall and just see what sticks now.
Anne-Marie made herself look like a negligent healthcare worker, being like, I've never even heard of anything like that. I'm like, I feel like I have, and I'm not in healthcare, but like, I've totally heard of people talking about that shit before.
So then Kyle also reposted a tweet. I don't know if you saw this. That says,
I'm blocked.
Oh no, are you?
I've been blocked for years. She blocked me when I had like 750 followers.
I don't know how I have escaped not being blocked by Kyle Richards, because I go so hard at her in the Twitter roundups. Like, I get a comment every week of someone being like, wow, this account really hates Kyle. And I'm like, yeah, are you new here?
Yeah,
I do. Anyway, so anyways, but no, I'm not blocked somehow. But anyway, so she reposted a tweet that said, you know what's funny? Sutton wants Kyle to tell what's going on in her marriage and every detail about her life. Meanwhile, this is her 4th year and we have zero clue why she got divorced and what led to it. Huh?
I thought,
do we have zero clue about why Sutton got divorced?
Unless there's like some secret that we don't know about. I thought we knew that.
But it's just,
why did they get divorced? Actually, I don't know. They just like grew apart, right?
Yeah. And it's just, here's the thing. It's not the same situation because one of them is a divorce that happened before the show. She was already divorced when she came on the show. Like, it's not like we watched Sutton and her husband in a relationship on our televisions for 10 years where Sutton portrayed a perfect marriage. And then all of a sudden they got divorced, like Kyle. She came on and was like, yeah, I'm already divorced and my ex-husband was this rich, powerful guy, which I think she probably can't talk about certain things if he is as powerful as she says he is, which I think he is.
She seems like genuinely afraid to say the wrong thing about him.
She's frightened and you can tell. And I also felt like the reason was that he wouldn't let her be an independent person. Like she really gave that impression that he was like, no, you're like my kept woman, stay home. And I think she was like, I don't want to do this. So like, because it takes a lot of guts to get out of that type of relationship, right? Like, it's just not the same situation anyways. Like Kyle is acting like she hasn't been on my TV screen for 12 seasons, acting like her and Mauricio are, and being, you know, on the front cover of the Knot magazine for their 25-year anniversary. Like, it's just not the same.
Oh, did they do that? I didn't know that.
Yes, they were on the cover of the Knot for their 25th year. It was like last year, the year before, and he's dipping Kyle, and she's like, you know, like dipped back, and it's like, oh, whatever year. Like, yeah, like they have, that's been their thing.
I had this theory, and I think I may just believe it because it kind like, okay, whatever Kathy said to Rinna about Kyle, which was so devastating to Kyle, I'm very convinced that it had to do with Mauricio.
Oh, I agree with you.
Cheating. And I almost think, but I think I'm going to fully think it now, that Kyle genuinely believed Mauricio when he denied it all these years. And then hearing that Kathy's like, I'm imagining her being like, everyone knows Mauricio cheats on her. Everyone knows, or something like that.
Like and confirmation.
And it was like, fuck. Now and then Mauricio probably did his typical thing, like, oh, you know, we know it's not true. Like, listen to the haters. And she's like, fuck you. Yeah. Like, because this woman is finally like, fuck you. You're not even going to have, like, you're not even stepping up to fix it. Because like something is different about Kyle.
Oh, totally.
Like something switched, and it all has to stem from her sister with Kathy. And I'm like, like, I think that she finally was like, wow, I cannot deny this. And Mauricio probably didn't do shit to really make her feel better. He probably thought it was just like your typical, well, you know, they always say lies about us, whatever.
Exactly.
Kathy would know. Like, if anyone would really know, Kathy would fucking know.
And now her and Kyle are all made up.
Yeah. See?
I feel like this has united them, right? Because she's like, you know what? Fuck this guy. Yes. And my sister's here for me. And my sister likes Morgan. Yes. Like, God, now we found out Kathy even like got a tattoo as well. Kathy
like ships all of whatever Kyle is doing. Kathy is here for it. Kathy loves
totally. She loves
it. Be a lesbian. I don't fucking care. Do whatever makes you happy, but get away from Mauricio.
Oh yeah. The Hiltons have always hated him. He's the root of all the issues between Kyle and Kathy, in my opinion.
Literally though, like he fucking took clients from Rick to start his own company. Like that is legitimately a reason to hate somebody.
Totally.
So,
and on another like related Beverly Hills topic, Julia Roberts was on Watch What Happens Live.
Yes.
Okay. Which was so fabulous.
Yes.
Like it was great. And they did that whole imitation. I mean, her Sutton wasn't the best. I'll give her that.
It wasn't great. I was like, she doesn't watch the show enough to know. But
yeah, exactly. So we'll forgive her. She watches it. So that made me happy. So they discussed PK's like Pretty Woman thing. Did you see that?
Yes.
And they talked about it, and Julia Roberts, I can't believe I'm saying Julia Roberts, like while I'm discussing Dorit. I know. So Julia Roberts said how weird it was, and Dorit didn't seem like she liked it, and how like the first thing he said was like, oh, you're not keeping the necklace, whatever. So PK shared this on Instagram. Did you see that?
And then Rob commented?
Yes. Okay, so I'll just tell the listeners in case they don't know, but PK shares it with the caption, "I think she liked it, question mark." And then Rob Minkoff replies and goes, "Clout chasing." And then PK responds to that and goes, "Oh, he speaks." So
I mean, out of nowhere, Rob Minkoff.
What the fuck is going on? Can Rob Minkoff? And I'm just so confused. Who is Rob saying is clout chasing?
Who is clout chasing? I thought the same thing. I'm like, was he hacked? Like, was someone just log in? Because it didn't even make sense. But I'm like, I wanted it to make more sense. But I'm like, who's clout chasing? Is PK clout chasing because
it can't be Julia Roberts.
That's what I'm saying. So is it who? But
it's got to be PK.
It's got to be PK. Clout chasing using Julia Roberts's, I guess. And also how though? Because she's insulting it. I mean, because she's like,
right. Like he was putting it up as like a defense. Like he was like, no, I think Dorit liked it. And Rob Minkoff knows the term clout chasing. That was my other question.
I'm thinking it was hacked. I'm not kidding. It doesn't make any sense. Like those words wouldn't even come out of his mouth, in my opinion.
But then PK responding and saying, "Oh, he speaks," kind of made me feel like, do Crystal and Dorit like low-key hate each other? And now the husbands are in it. I mean, I'm down for that. But is that possible that maybe something happens later this season that we haven't seen yet?
Also, maybe like PK is just maybe like Rob is like, PK's a fucking creep and I don't like PK, and like it just slipped out. Like he's like clout chasing. Like maybe he thinks these thoughts all the time about PK, and he was like on some wine and decided to comment.
Okay. And this is related to Crystal too. So another Crystal thing. So you know how she had that after party after Kathy Hilton's Christmas party?
I'm so glad you're bringing this up. Yes.
So allegedly. So Guerdy was on the Mention It All, like the Betches Bravo podcast Mention It All. And Guerdy reveals that she was disinvited from a Beverly Hills Housewives party because Larsa Pippen was coming. Now, the interviewer says, okay, well, the Direct TV. And she's like, no, I was there. I went to the Direct TV to Kathy Hilton's. But there was a pre-party that I was invited to, but then Larsa was there and I was uninvited. So people are thinking it was Crystal's. However, Crystal's was a post party, but Guerdy could be just misspeaking. You know what I mean? Like maybe she meant to say post. I don't know. What do you think?
I was under the impression that Crystal called Guerdy to say Larsa's going to be here.
Okay.
That's what I thought. But now that you're saying that, I'm like, maybe not. Because I just can't imagine Crystal choosing Larsa over Guerdy.
Maybe well, I mean, clearly her husband knows what clout is, so I don't know. Maybe because Larsa's a bigger name. Maybe because Larsa, maybe because the Marcus of it all.
Look.
Maybe Rob wanted to be around. Maybe Rob wanted to be around Michael Jordan's son. I could actually see that as someone. That's husbands, you know, you get the husbands who was really into sports, and this is like a legend son. This is like the athlete of all time son.
Yep.
Because Guerdy seemed pissed.
Yeah. And if it is Crystal, that really knocks her down a peg.
Yeah. I mean, she's already kind of like, I like her this season in that I like her commentary, and I agree with her about I liked how she called out Kyle for like, you've been sober for 5 seconds and you're acting like so judgy. I love all that. However, she's also like kind of not that great this season. She's a little boring.
I don't know if they're just editing everything out. Like I know that they edited out that scene when they're in Vegas where Dorit's like, Garcelle, you're really like, when she turned Garcelle's feelings into like an insult to her.
Yeah.
According to Crystal, she's like, I did speak up for Garcelle in that moment, but they cut it. Yeah. And that's a big thing to cut, because I was wondering, was like, why is nobody coming to her defense? So that's a huge thing to have cut. And if that had been added to her repertoire so far this season, I think it'd be a little bit different. So I can't tell if they're just cutting out shit that she's saying in the scenes and just putting in her confessionals or something, because they're really underutilizing her.
Yeah.
Because she has so many, she has so many things that she could have come in this season with. Like she could have come in ready to fight Kyle. I was
That's what
excited
I
for
was going
that
to
too.
say.
I loved her feuding with Kyle at the reunion. I thought
Me
she did
too.
such a great job. She
With,
just had a great response to everything. What were they
yep.
even fighting about? I can't
It
remember.
was about Kyle heard about how she had like 14 friends who didn't
There we
like
go.
her anymore. Like that was a great storyline. I
Yes.
would have
And
loved that too.
so I was just wondering what was going to happen there, but she just decided to come in, play neutral,
Mhm.
which is kind of boring. So
I
yeah,
know it hasn't been
there's
good.
always so much potential there,
I
and
know,
then
and then she
doesn't
misses it.
take it. Yeah.
But
But
I
again, I don't
mean,
know if that's editing.
and we do still have more
It's yeah, we're
episodes.
only on episode like 7 or something.
Is it 7 already? Damn.
Exactly. And we're gonna
Whew.
have like 25
Oh
probably.
God, yeah, because it's Beverly Hills.
It's Beverly Hills. The season never ends.
All right, so our last topic of the day. Are you ready? You ready for this topic? It's
Hit
not
me.
that. I don't think it's that crazy. But okay, so Alexis Bellino is
Oh.
officially dating John Jansen. So that's not really the news. However, Vicky Gunvalson did this whole thing
Mm.
criticizing her for it. And then Alexis shared basically on her Instagram story and says, this is her direct quote. Very disappointing from someone I consider a friend. I know things can be so, I didn't know things were so bad at Kodo Insurance and that you resort to grab quick cash from a clickbait article trashing me. Sad that you seem to forget there are two sides to every story and 100% of your assumptions are false. Happy holidays.
That's why Vicky then tweeted.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
go ahead and read that part because I'm sure people want to
You know
know.
what? I forgot to write it down.
Oh, I think I can find it because it's on Twitter. I'll
Hang
get it.
on. We'll see
I'll
who's.
get it. Oops, I just had it. Here we go. Damn it.
Oh, you're so fast. I was like,
Okay. Vicky
oh, yeah. Okay. Tell us what she said.
said, Kodo Insurance has been in business for 34 years. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Kodo Insurance Dash, which has been in business for 34 years, Dash, is thriving. My feelings on a certain situation involving someone I think is being shady have nothing to do with that. Oh, and at least I have a business and don't have to depend on a man. Winky
Ooh.
face, hashtag happy holidays, hashtag I'm a good friend.
Okay. So do you think that Alexis Bellino dating this man is like, how authentic do you think it is versus how much do you think it's for the show or the potential to get back on the show?
Well, I'm going to say that I hope it's just for the sake of getting on the show and like using it as a
Okay.
storyline.
Yep.
Because if this woman really thinks that John Jansen is a good candidate for a boyfriend,
Oh, God.
then she's a real idiot still. Because
I mean, look at her ex-husband though.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, girl, because John Jansen is pulling such a Slade Smiley here
Oh,
by
totally.
going for someone who he's clearly heard as rumored to be coming back on the show. So I would hope that she knows this is like a PR storyline move and isn't like, no, we could really be like in love because red flags are everywhere with this guy.
They are everywhere. He very much confuses me because he seems so thirsty, but then
Yep.
he does nothing when he's on the show. Like he doesn't seem like he wants to get, like
Yeah.
he's not like a Peter or someone who's really
Yep.
trying to get in the mess. Like he's not like that. So he's an odd duck. Like I can't.
That's a really good point,
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
actually. Because
It's
he
weird.
doesn't want to get involved in the drama, but
Right.
then he gets accused of being thirsty. It's like, why do you want to date a housewife if you're not
I don't
even
know.
gonna
Maybe he just
like,
likes the events and like the
oh, that's
lifestyle.
possible.
You know what I mean? Like he just likes like, oh, we get to go to this dinner and this like
Yeah.
step and repeat. Like, is that
Yeah.
possible?
Like he likes having his picture taken at these
Right.
events because he does seem excited for that kind of shit.
Now, I mean, I am here for Alexis coming back. I
Me
have always
too.
been a proponent of that because she drove me absolutely nuts when she was on the show because she was so annoying and you couldn't use logic with her, partly because she was not bright enough, but also just, she just had these weird roundabout ways of arguing that drove me crazy, just everything. I was actually always team Tamra when it came to Alexis Bellino. However,
Me too.
she's like the missing link. I really like we need someone with her energy. I think she'll just bring like a good drama that also has that sort of like comedy that unself-aware comedy. Do you know what I mean? Like she
Oh,
lacks that
totally.
awareness. And that's what I mean. I'm looking forward to that.
And also, we haven't seen her in a while, and so much has
Yes.
changed in her
She has,
life.
I think she has changed too a little bit.
Yeah, like she has a trans son, right?
Right.
Or
And she's
daughter.
really changed her views about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm here for hearing about that, especially if Heather's
Same.
there and like Heather
Oh,
and they can
yes.
talk about it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that I only ever want to see a housewife come back that's
Yes.
actually grown, has a new story to tell,
Yeah.
and I want to see them like in their new place in life, which is kind of why Vicky, there was no reason to bring her back full time because
Yeah.
she wasn't going to talk about her relationship. She was going to
Mm-hmm.
definitely leave that off the show, and she just wants to be fun bus, blah blah blah. And
Right.
that's like a friend. That's a friend of. You don't need that as a full-time housewife.
Yeah.
As where, and there's nothing really different about Vicky. Same old thing. She's got a new
Yeah.
man. She's in a relationship.
Yeah.
Love tank.
Kodo
Blah blah blah.
insurance, etc.
Exactly. As
You
where
know what?
Alexis, all this is different. So I'm here for that.
Same. And I'm not sad about Vicky not coming back. I didn't really think she brought anything last year. I'm not sad about Taylor not being on again. I thought she was a big disappointment. I mean, if we're going to make a list of like the disappointments this year, I would put, Danielle and Rachel from New Jersey as big disappointments. And I would put Vicky and Taylor. Those are like 4 big disappointments this year, I would say.
Yeah,
So, some people were upset, but I was like, meh.
I was surprised, but then the more I thought about it with Taylor, I was like, ooh, because Shannon got the DUI. Because Shannon and Taylor became like drinking buddies. So before
Oh,
the DUI, I'm like, oh, that would make sense that they'd bring her back because then like they could show. But then Shannon gets this DUI, and it's like, that won't be a good look to
right.
have because Taylor is a drunk. Like Taylor fully
Oh,
like is a drunk.
totally.
And also
Totally.
too, that's like probably a liability. Like at this point with all the reality reckoning shit, it's like we can't
Yep.
have it's like
Well,
exploiting her.
Shannon's DUI really had a ripple effect. Like,
Hmm.
I really think that the only reason Gina's going to get to come back is because of Shannon's DUI now. Like, she really saved Gina. One more season, Gina.
That's hysterical.
Again, I don't know that as a fact, but I'm just assuming, like, how can you not have Gina come back to rub this right in
Right?
Shannon's face? Like, how can you not?
And
So,
Gina better do something with it. Gina always disappoints.
oh, I know she really does, but
Gina always lets
she
us
really,
down.
when it comes to fashion, she disappoints. When it comes like she does. But I guess that's kind of like part of her charm a little bit. If we're going to
I
give
know,
her
right?
any charm, is that she always disappoints.
She always disappoints. That's her charm.
Yeah, that should be her new
That's her
tagline.
tagline.
You want to be disappointed? Except like she needs like an accent when she says it.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Her
the accent, I
accent,
can't do the accent.
her accent that gets so gradually worse, like depending on the day.
Yeah, depending on her emotions in the moment.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
This was so fun.
This was so much fun. I'm so sorry I didn't do it sooner. I really feel like I dropped the ball a little bit, but I'm so glad you're here now. And you're going to have to come back again.
I was gonna say I'll come back and then you can come on mine
I would love to come on yours anytime.
and we'll
Whenever
just
you
keep
need me, I'm
swapping.
free.
I love
You
it.
keep swapping. I've been doing so many of the weekly episodes by myself, which like I don't mind because like, then you get to kind of just like blah out all
Yeah.
your emotions and feelings about these shows. But then on the other side, I love to hear other people's ideas because you're like, oh, I never thought of that. Like it's just,
Yeah.
it's so fun.
No, I like to do my stuff alone sometimes too for that very reason. But then when I
Yeah,
have a guest, I'm like, oh, this does actually make it more fun
it does
sometimes.
make it more, it's totally more fun. So
Yeah.
tell them like Plug City, where they can find you, all that kind of fun stuff.
Okay. I am She Speaks Bravo on all platforms. I'm much more active now on TikTok these days. And you
Ooh.
can find the podcast everywhere you get your podcast, She Speaks Bravo. And I also have a YouTube channel if you prefer to visually see what's happening. And I have a
Mm.
Patreon. The Patreon's been a lot of fun. I do one bonus like Bravo vintage episode a week like this. I'm
Like a
doing
recap, right?
like a recap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
I'm doing the Jersey season 2 fashion show, Posh
Oh
Fashion
my God,
Show.
that's a great one.
Oh my God. Like you forget about how good these
Yeah.
episodes are until you go back and rewatch. So I do that once a week, and then also some other bonus episodes. The Patreon's fun. And don't
love
forget,
that.
guys, rate and review this podcast, Bravo and
Oh, yes.
Bravo
Thank you.
Papers, because it really does help. It's a free way to support any
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, it helps so much. Like people have no idea. Even like, you know,
Mhm.
when we do put up a post on social media too, just like liking and sharing,
Yes.
like it's all like free ways to support the person. It helps with the algorithm. I don't know. I
Yes,
pretend I know,
exactly.
but it does. It really does.
It's
Okay,
always about an
everyone.
algorithm.
So you are now everyone in the know for everything Bravo, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry if I sounded congested. I'm still getting over this illness. I still kind of feel like crap, to be honest. But I hope you enjoyed that special episode. I'm going to try to get guests coming in more often because it's really fun and it's just like kind of like a fun way to shake things up, you know? What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, join my Patreon. Patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. So 4 extra episodes a month, $5 a month, and you get my Bravo Weekly Musing, which is where I just give some thoughts on what I am thinking about something going on in the Bravo world. And it's, you know, usually some kind of drama or news story. And I give my more unfiltered thoughts. So please join. It's a great way to have more intimate discussions, to comment on the podcast and actually be able to discuss with me, you know, when you hear things I say that you want to respond to. Give me your takes, send me your messages, have, you know, more content to listen to, and we have a great time over there. All right, thanks everyone. See you next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with a friend or 100 friends, whatever you want. You can follow me on Instagram at the Bravo Papers, or for my Twitter roundups, follow at Bravo and Botox. If you'd like to support me, please go to buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox for some much needed caffeine support. And until next time, keep overanalyzing Bravo.